Hello, everyone. My guest today is Adam Schoenfeld. He is the CEO of a company called Siftrock. He joined as ex-post-facto co-founder in October 2016. He's passionate about all things related to SaaS marketing and sales. Previously, he was a founder and CEO at Simply Measured in the social analytics space. He's also a BOD member at Bizible, leader in the B2B marketing attribution space. Adam, are you ready to take us to the top?
Let's do it.
All right, I remember Simply Measured back. That was, the heyday for those companies was back in 2012 when Wildfire, Vitrue, Buddy Media, all those guys sold. Did you sell the same time?
No, later. It was. I was in the business for a long time, grew it, and then I left the business to come join Siftrock, and then it sold to Sprout Social Post. Was that?
Got it. What did I mean, size wise? What did that get up to? You guys were a couple million in ARR, right? Can you share or no?
Can't share details of that. It was definitely more than a couple, but can't share details about that.
Why'd you leave? Why not stay with Sprout Social through like an earnout or something?
So I actually left before the Sprout Social acquisition. And for me, the company had grown. We were over 100 employees. Had some success. I'd learned a ton, and I really love the earlier stages of a business.
Yep.
And I wanted to go do something. I wanted to go bootstrap a business. Actually, I wanted to try a different model. And when I met Chris, who had started Siftrock solo, I was just drawn to him and his energy, and so I just had the opportunity to go do something else that I was really passionate about.
Yep. Sorry, my numbers were way off too, because you guys had raised, there was I know one round you did at Simply Measured was like 20 million. You guys had raised a significant amount of capital, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we went on the VC path, and we did put a lot of capital into the company. And as you know, you were in that space at a similar time, and
yeah,
a lot of companies, that space got very crowded very quickly.
Yeah, that space was a shit show. We had all kinds of different LOIs at different times. There were some I should have probably moved forward with. There were others that I should have said no to. But I'm glad we got out of that space. I'll just leave it at that. So walk me through what you're doing today. So what's the company do and how do you make money?
Yeah, SaaS model. We work on annual subscriptions, and we solve this sort of niche problem in B2B email marketing. So if you send any volume of email to leads and customers, whether you're sending them webinar invites or following up on white papers, what happens after your email sends go out is you get a bunch of replies back. Mm-hmm. You get like out of office messages and notifications that somebody's changed jobs. Those things just happen, right? And then you get people who actually want to talk to you. And that's happening more and more. So Siftrock is basically managing and mining all of those replies. So we take the hand raisers, the real people that want to talk to you, we send them to the sales rep. We look at the out of office messages for signatures. We look at the left companies to clean your database. So this process that just works behind the scenes to basically help you automate and kind of improve your process after the send.
Okay. And so I love the product, but I'm also curious about like how you ended up here. So you said de facto CEO. There was a lot of words in that bio, which means usually some shit hit the fan and you had to come in. What happened? Why'd you come in as co-founder or CEO?
I wish there was a juicy story about that shit hitting the fan, but I used the Jason Lemkin ex-post-facto CEO because I came in as co-founder, as CEO after the company had been founded. It's a really cool story, actually. The company was founded in December 2014.
Okay.
Yeah. So he'd been running it for about 2 years, solo. So, one guy, technical guy, also very entrepreneurial, super impressed. Can you imagine, right? He built the product. He validated with early customers. He sold early customers. He iterated the product. He built multiple integrations solo. And he just got to a point where it was like, hey, either I need a co-founder to handle sales and marketing and help me take this to the next level, or I need to sell the business.
Yep.
And I said, let's go do it.
Yep. And he had bootstrapped it at that point, right?
Yep. Absolutely bootstrapped.
That's amazing. So update where you're at today. So, bootstrapped, have you raised capital?
Fully bootstrapped.
Okay, good. Okay, it's good. You're taking a full 180 from your previous ventures, huh?
Yeah, I learned a lot through that process, and I wanted to try it this way. I'm not like violently opposed to the VC model.
Yep.
I just think there's lots of businesses and lots of opportunities to, take a different approach, to take a little bit of a slower, kind of more intentional approach to kind of the market, and that's what we're doing here.
Plus, it's a way better story for you to take podcast interviews from your closet than it is some big fancy boardroom you spend all your VC money on.
For sure, man.
All right. Tell me more about the kinds of customers you're working with. So, like on average, what would you say the average customer is paying you per month?
Yeah. So on average, existing business, it's $7,500 per year.
Okay.
And the kind of customers are, people who send a good amount of email and who use a marketing automation platform. So folks like Avalara, LogMeIn, Procore, Glassdoor, people that have a pretty big database, they're nurturing those leads, they're emailing their customers. They use Marketo, Eloqua, HubSpot, or Pardot. Those are the platforms we primarily integrate with.
Mm-hmm. And what's the difference between someone paying $7,500 per year to your expansion revenue, where they might pay 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a year? What pricing axes are you selling up on?
Yeah, we just added the second axis of features. So we have two feature SKUs, and then we have volume, basically volume of replies that we process, which is a function of how much email they send. So those are the two variables.
And which one is more effective for your salespeople for upselling? Is it just driving more usage to get more volume, and that's the most effective no-touch way to upsell?
Probably for upsell, it's the features, because we can't change their volume. You know what I mean? So we have no ability to affect that, where we can kind of inspire them to try something new on the feature axis. And so that's where a lot of our product development is to enhance our second feature SKU and add a third. The volume, it's just, do you send or do you not? I mean, they can expose us to more business units and regions to get more volume, but pretty much at the start of the contract, we know how much volume they're going to generate. And
what have you guys now scaled to in terms of total customers using the platform?
We're at about 140 customers.
Okay, that's pretty good. So I mean, if I take 140 times $7,500, I mean, I can kind of get into like general AR. You guys are past or flirting with that $1 million mark right now.
Yeah, we just hit the $1 million of ARR mark last month.
Dude, congratulations! April. That's a big milestone.
Yeah, no, I'm super proud of it. I mean, a 6-employee, we just hired our 6th employee. So, functionally a 5-employee company reaching $1 million of ARR on zero capital, I think is a cool milestone. I mean, it's small relative to many of your guests on the show, obviously, when you're talking hundreds of millions. But
people always hedge that, Adam. I don't understand why. Can I tell you a secret? The interviews I do with people that are at your level get almost 3 times the downloads as when I have Ryan on from Qualtrics and they're about to IPO. It's, you know why? Because those are inspirational, but they're not actionable. Like this episode will be actionable. You're going to say things that other people at your exact same level, they can go try it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I love it. I love kind of operating at this size, figuring out what it takes to get from 100K to $1 million. It's a fun problem. And then you try to get from 1 to 2 and you just sort of take it one day at a time.
Yeah. What's interesting to me though is, so how old are you today?
35. Got a few grades coming in. Not too bad though.
It's interesting to me how you're able to put your mind back in this mode after, I mean, you guys raised north of 25, 30 million, I think it Simply Measured. I mean, it's a very different thing to grow with that kind of capital behind you versus the mindset you're in now. I mean, have you done anything to shift your mindset that way, or no, it's easier than I'm making it sound?
It's hard sometimes. I mean, I think, but I like it because it keeps you humble, right? Like I have to write copy for the website. I have to design images for our LinkedIn ads, right? Like I have my hands in the weeds of the operation, and I love that. And I did that a lot at Simply Measured in the early days, and I love doing that. So I think so much learning comes from that, and doing it for a second time effectively is awesome. And I'm sort of relearning things I learned 7-8 years ago. It was a mindset shift, right? Versus having a big team and having an EA and having somebody manage your calendar, and right, just like all the little things, I think, and it's definitely taken a shift, but I settled back into it pretty quickly because I think this is where I'm most comfortable, actually.
What was the initial gentleman's name?
Chris Hundley.
Chris. So you guys got obviously hooked up. I mean, are you a true co-founder? If I looked at the cap table, I could clearly pick both of you out as the 2 co-founders, or are you at like, 2, 3, 4, 5 percentage points kind of thing?
No, I'm a true co-founder in that sense. Okay. I mean, obviously we tilted it a little bit for him and the sacrifices he's made, but
yep.
It would be a typical, if we had started the company, and I had to pay for that, right? I had to sacrifice a lot of salary and trade where I was.
That was my follow-up question, right? Because if I looked at, okay, I've got the CEO who built this social company, Simply Measured, raised a bunch of capital. Obviously it hadn't exited yet, but clearly many, many, many millions in ARR. You must have really seen something here that gets you very excited for you to take, when you measure your opportunity cost.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see that, Nathan, right? But a lot of people don't get that. They're like, why would you do this? And I'm like, you need to go talk to Chris, because I think as a business co-founder, right, the most important thing, and I benefited from this at Simply Measured. I had a phenomenal product co-founder and a phenomenal CTO, but you need that other side. You need somebody who can functionally complement you, but also personality and style-wise. And so when I saw him, and we spent a ton of time together dating, and sort of I informally advised him for probably a year before I actually, joined the business. But that was I just saw that as such an opportunity that, I was willing to make a lot of sacrifice to come on board.
What's growth look like? You just passed $1 million in ARR. Where were you 12 months ago?
Oh man, I mean, we're in those ridiculous percentage growth rates, right? But we really think about it in dollar growth. I guess at the end of last quarter, we were growing like 260%. Okay. Right? I mean, it took us 18 months to go from basically 100K to $1 million of ARR. So, when I came in, we were about 100K of just what he'd cobbled together. And, we just crossed the $1 million 18 months after I came on.
So to summarize that, you launched in 2014. He grew to about $100,000 in ARR. In 2016, when you joined, it was about $100,000 in ARR. You've grown now over the past 2 years up to, north of $1 million. So 10x over 2 years, pretty healthy growth.
Yeah. 18 months. I mean, it was late. It was Q4 2016 that I came in. So
got it.
Yeah, just an 18-month window. So it's been, we came in and I brought in the first day. I mean, and lessons learned, right? The very first day I brought in a director of sales. Very first day I joined, her and I sat down together, and it was like, because that was a lesson that I learned, is investing in sales too late and things like that. So it was great. I had a great partner in terms of being able to bring in new business, which of course you need when you have very few customers.
What that conversation with your first sales rep, I mean, what did that sound like? I mean, was she asking questions like, where am I getting the leads from? And you're going, well, here's your commission structure, here's the target ACV. Like, get me into that conversation.
Yeah. She's very bright. So she asked all of those questions. Luckily, we had the personal relationship because we'd worked together. She had been at Simply Measured, then went on to a different company. So fortunate that we had a history to sort of draw on. And I said, hey, look, here's the sacrifices I'm making to do this. Here's my confidence in the business. And, why don't you take the leap and let's see what happens. And luckily, we were able to sort of set up a commission structure where she was benefiting pretty quickly from actually closing business. So she then, I think, bought in pretty quick after that.
So where are you guys feeding her leads today? Are they're just coming in through the website, or are you doing any direct paid stuff?
Yep, we're doing some paid social. That pencils out really well for us. And then we've got really good word of mouth and sort of position within our partner ecosystem. Those platforms we integrate with. People tend to talk about us inside of those communities. So that's been a big lead source that we've generated. And then we're just starting to build the outbound muscle. I bet we've closed of our 140 customers, maybe 15 of them have actually been closed through outbound. Oh, wow. And we're trying to get that mix up.
Interesting. So right now, across your entire base, when you look at your fully weighted CAC, where would you pin it?
So it's about half of what our ACV is. It takes us about 6 months to pay it back.
Got it. So call it.
I mean, it fluctuates. Some quarters it's 4, some it's 8. Right? Like these numbers are still small, right?
Totally.
So you're still seeing it bounce around, but we're always keeping it under that sort of. I want to keep it under 10. And
10-month payback.
Yeah.
So your 6-month payback today on $7,500 ACV. So call it $3,500 in CAC or somewhere around there. It bounces.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah. And then this is tough, especially at kind of where you're at right now. But when you put your finger up in the air and you look at what you think LTV might be, how do you calculate that? And what do you think it is?
Oh man, I don't think about LTV in SaaS. I just look at the CAC ratio and the payback period. Because I think when you start doing LTV on a 0.5% of churn on an early cohort, it's like your LTV is 100 years or something, right? And so you just get this weird equation. So I really just think about, I think about those components, the renewal rate and the CAC, and then the CAC payback and the ACV growing obviously is important, but I don't really think LTV.
Did I hear you say that right? You're churning in terms of logo churn 0.5 point every month?
No. So we look at it as renewal rates since we're doing annual deals. We have a few legacy. I think we have 3 month-to-month payers left from the old days, but everything now is on an annual deal. So I look at renewal rates. I pulled this up because I knew you'd ask, but if I just look at everybody who's renewed over the last 18 months, we have a 99.5% dollar gross renewal rate. But Nathan, it's like these early cohorts, you need to be that high. Yeah. Like these are your early adopters, the people who are like loving your product, they're willing to take a chance on you. So I don't know that's indicative of actually
that's net dollar retention.
No, that's gross.
That is gross. Okay.
Net's like 135.
Yeah.
But again, like your early customers should upgrade at a higher rate. So I think when I look at that first cohort of people that were acquired, in 2017 and earlier, it's like, we should be delivering at a really ridiculous rate for those people.
Yep. And you mentioned 6-month payback period. We talked a little bit about, you've got, again, 6 folks on the team now today. Where are you guys all based?
We're all in Seattle, all in one room.
I love that. So how, obviously not all jammed in that closet. Is it a co-working space or is it just a space you found outside?
It's a space we found. Yeah, just in Pioneer Square in Seattle. We got a little walk up. And it's fun. Yeah, there's a nice 7-Eleven downstairs where you can, buy some drugs and a bag of Cheetos or whatever you need, and it's a fun neighborhood.
There you guys have it. Siftrock, powder on, Tylenol and Cheetos. Adam, last question here. I mean, you've been here, you've done this before, so I have to ask, over the next 12 months in terms of driving growth, you mentioned trying to experiment and growing the outbound muscle. I mean, what are 3 metrics you're really focused on over the next year as you try and drive more growth?
Yeah, I mean, actually, outside of metrics, what I'm mostly focused on, and I guess the metric would be, expansion revenue or starting ACV is product expansion. We really like, email is an old channel, but it has a lot of room to innovate. And I think we've sort of opened people's eyes to when you try to get people to reply to your marketing emails, magic can happen, right? When you get that two-way engagement. And so we want to do more stuff with the product to make that easier for people to take that to the next level. So I'm really actually focused on new product and new innovation on the product itself right now, because I think we have like the model working at the level that can sustain our business and be cash flow positive. So I guess that ties back to expansion or ACV, but I think it's a little more qualitative in that sense.
If a Marketo or Salesforce or one of these companies that they see you rising up their app rankings fairly quickly approaches you and says, "Hey, here's a $5 million check, sell the company to us," do you sell?
Not for 5. I mean, everybody's got some number, right? I'm not going to share it on your show here, but I think we are building the business as if we're going to be doing this in 10 years. And if those conversations happen, like we'll entertain them. I mean, but I think we're just taking the lens of like, how do we generate cash flow to pay the employees, pay the rent, run the business and make our customers happy. And then we'll sort of see what doors open.
Yeah. Are you running right now at about break even?
Yep, right around break even. Yeah. Some months a little over, some a little under. So 2017. Yep. The nice thing about annual contracts, right, is you can make this work bootstrapped if you can do annual deals.
Yep. Adam, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
I've been really into Seth Godin right now, so I'll go with Purple Cow.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying currently?
Oh, a lot. I love doing this. I'll go with a local CEO, Sandy Lin. She's the CEO at Skilljar. They just raised a big round, and she's super, super sharp. I love talking with her. So it's somebody I know personally and have been kind of watching her grow.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building the business besides your own?
Oh man, it's so tough because right now I'm really excited about Drift and Outreach, and they're all in the sales and marketing world where I live. Both of those, since we're getting outbound going, Outreach has just done some amazing things to help that, especially in terms of like personalized emails. So really like that tool.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep are you getting every night?
Oh, I'm pretty steady in the 7 ballpark, maybe 6.5.
And what's your situation? Married, single, you have kiddos?
Married, 2 young ones, 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Woo, okay, that's incredible. And you said you're 35, right?
Yep.
And last question here, what do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Oh man, that idiot. I don't know what I'd tell him. Yeah, probably just not trust your gut, but listen to your gut. I think anytime I've sort of strayed, it's been sort of like not listening to a gut feeling, not asking why, not digging down on that. So I think sort of really thinking about who you are and sort of trusting what those signals are, even if they're hard to figure out why you're hearing them. So that's probably what I'd tell myself.
Guys, don't trust your gut, but make sure you're listening to it. Adam had a lot of success at his first company, Simply Measured, raised a lot of capital, grew it to many, many millions in ARR before he left, and then obviously went on to sell. Now he's joined up with it sounds like a very talented CTO in 2014. The CTO launched the company Siftrock, again, helping with emails. You get all the replies. What do you do with the replies when someone says I'm out of office or I've changed jobs? And how do you update your CRMs and all your data records to make sure it reflects everything you're collecting from those automated replies? And then most importantly, how do you actually, again, engage with the people that wrote you real replies from those mass emails you sent out? He's solving it. They're a team of 6 people based up there in Seattle, totally bootstrapped, 140 customers paying on average $600-$700 a month. So they've passed $1 million in ARR, growing and have about 10x over the past 18 months, which is healthy. 135% net revenue retention year over year. Again, healthy growth, siftrock.com. Adam, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thanks, Nathan.